Hello, welcome to Maths by Miss B. Today's video is going to be about solving linear equations. This is where you have to aim to get the letter on its own and remove everything from that side of the equation. Generally looking at it, you could say, well, something plus 4 gives 13. What could that be? Well, clearly in this case it's going to be 9 because 9 plus 4 equals 13. But how can we solve that algebraically? Well, we can use what we call a balancing method. That is when you make a move to one side of the equation. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you do exactly the same thing to the other. Because don't forget, we've got an equal sign here. That means the left-hand side balances up with the right-hand side. And we've got to keep this equation balanced. And the way we can actually do that is say, well, if I want to get this letter x on its own, what do I need to do? To get that on its own, we need to get rid of this positive 4. We need to make that disappear or turn into a 0 if you like, because that's the only way we can get the x on its own. Now, in order to get rid of that positive 4, you need to think about the opposite calculation. So the opposite to a positive 4 is going to be a negative 4. So what we need to do is take away 4 from the left hand side of that equation. So here's the left hand side and this is the right hand side. So from the left hand side we need to take away 4, but we need to take away 4 from the right hand side as well. Now when we subtract 4 from the left hand side, we are left with just the x on its own because the 4 has now gone. That's gone. The positive 4 has disappeared. When we take away 4 from the 13, we are left with 9. Okay, that's how we arrive at the answer of x equals 9 by using this balancing method. Looking at the second question on the top right there, where we've got a take away 5 equals 12. So something take away 5 equals 12, but we need to use this algebraic or the balancing method in order to get that letter on its own. So the only way we can get this letter A on its own is by getting rid of this negative 5. Okay, the only way we can do that is by doing the opposite calculation. That will get rid of a negative 5. And in this case, it will be add 5. But we have to add 5 to both sides in order to keep the balance in the equation. Now, once you add 5 to both sides, on the left-hand side, you are left with the A, because the negative 5 is going to go. On the right-hand side, you've got 12, then you've got add 5 to it, and that will give you 17. So there's the answer, and you can always check it by putting it back in the equation. 17 take away 5 equals 12. Okay, looking at the third one down, where you've got x divided by 3 equals 5. Again, we're trying to get the letter on its own. Only in this case, we are trying to get rid of this divide by 3, because that's how it's linked to the x above. It's x divide by 3. And in order to get rid of a divide by 3, you need to do the opposite calculation, because multiplying by 3 and then dividing by 3 will cancel each other out. Okay, so we need to multiply the right hand side of this equation by 3 as well. Okay, so once we multiply the left hand side, this 3 at the bottom will disappear, leaves you with the x. Multiply the 5 by the 3, you get 15. Okay, so if you check your answer, you can put the 15 back in here. 15 divided by 3 gives 5, so this must be the correct answer. Now, going on to the fourth one along, this is where we have to take a couple of steps to get to the solution here. So this is known as a two-step equation. So the first thing you could do is get rid of this positive 10 or a plus 10. Now, looking at the equation, we want to get this letter x on its own. And at the moment, the x has a 2 next to it. It's like x times 2. And then we've also got a plus 10. So when we multiply something by 2 and then plus 10 to it, we end up with 16. So what number are we actually starting with? Well, you can sit there and work that out and think about all these different numbers that you can multiply by 2 and then add 10 to get 16. Or you can just work backwards. Using this algebraic method, the best thing would be to get rid of this plus 10. The only way you can do that is by saying subtract 10. So when we subtract 10 from the left hand side, we are left with the 2x. When we subtract 10 from the right hand side, which is a 16, 16 take away 10, that leaves us with 6. If 2x is worth 6, x is going to be worth 3. But how do we reach that? We can reach that by saying, let's divide both sides by 2, because that is the opposite of multiplying by 2. So this is going to be x equals 3. How do we know if this is the correct answer? You can put the 3 back into the equation there and do 2 times 3, which is 6. 6 plus the 10 gives us 16. So it works. It must be correct. Okay, just looking at the next couple again. Here, one on the left hand side, you've got 3x minus 8 equals 16. We need to be getting rid of the minus 8. The way we can do that is to plus 8 to both sides. By plussing 8, you get rid of that minus 8 and we're left with 3x. Let's add 8 to the 16 and that will give you 24. So 3x is worth 24. To get rid of the 3, which is next to the x, and the way it's linked is by a multiplication sign, because it's x times 3, or you can say 3 times x. Do the opposite calculation, which is divide by 3. That will get you the x on its own, because 3x shared by 3 is x, and then 24 divided by 3 will get you 8. Okay? And then again, you can check your answer by putting the 8, replace it back in place of the x. 3 times 8 is 24, take away 8, it leaves you with 16, so this must be correct. Now, the next one along is slightly different, just the arrangement's different. We haven't got the x or the letter at the front of this equation, it's just in a slightly different place, that's all. When you come across an equation like this, okay, the best thing you can do, rather than just getting rid of the number, as we have been doing on the previous couple of examples, what you can do, because this is a negative 5x, now if we say let's add this 5x, just watch what happens. Okay, let's add 5x to both sides. That will leave us with 17 on the left hand side. On the right hand side we've already got a 2, but we are going to add on the 5x there. Okay, but the aim is still the same. We are still aiming to get the letter on its own. So in order to get this 5x on its own, we can get rid of that 2, which at the moment is a positive 2. And the way we can get rid of that positive 2 is by saying let's subtract 2. So if I'm going to subtract 2 from the right hand side, I've got to do exactly the same to the left hand side. Okay, subtract 2 will leave me with the 5x, and when I take 2 away from the 17, it will leave me with the 15. Just because the x is on the right hand side, it doesn't make much of a difference. You can just change it around, but at the moment we still haven't got the x on its own. We still have a 5 connected to it by times 5. In order to get rid of that multiplied by 5, we can divide by 5. But remember, divide both sides by 5. Dividing the right hand side by 5 will give us x. Dividing the left hand side by 5 will give 3. So there's your answer. X is worth 3. Or you can write it the proper way around if you like. There we go. Okay, so x is worth 3. Just some more. I've got a variation of questions here that you can look through at your own leisure. Okay, so here, something divided by 4 plus 5 equals 12. What is that something? So I've just used a different letter. Doesn't matter what letter's there. The concept is still the same. You are still aiming to get the letter on its own in order to find the value of it. So in this case, you've got a divide by 4. You've also got a plus 5. It's always a good idea to get rid of something that's sort of like extra on there. Anything that's next to the letter or underneath it, leave that till last. Anything that's additional, that's added on or subtracted, get rid of that first. So let's take away 5 from both sides of this equation and see what it leaves us with. When we subtract 5, it'll get rid of that 5. It'll leave us with the a divided by 4. Take away 5 from this the 12 leaves us with 7. Okay, so a divided by 4 is 7. What is that a? That's what we need to try and work out. So what we can do next is get rid of the divide by 4. The way we can get rid of a divide by 4 is by doing the opposite calculation, which is times by 4, because times by 4 and divide by 4 will cancel each other out. That will leave you with the a on the left hand side. 7 multiplied by 4 will give you 28. Okay, so a is worth 28. Again, pop it back into the equation at the top here. Check your answer. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. It balances, so it works. Okay. Next one. What happens here? Now, we've got a letter and it's something take away 3. All of that divided by 2 and the answer is 6. So what figure are we starting with? In order to go back to that value, undo everything that's happening. So something take away 3, divide by 2 equals 6. So let's do the opposite calculations in order to undo what's going on in this equation. So the best thing you could actually do here is to get rid of this 2. The way you can get rid of that 2, because at the moment it's a divide by 2 in the equation, do the opposite, which is multiplied by 2. Okay, so when we multiply that by 2, we can get rid of that 2 and we are left with c minus 3 on the left hand side. The divide by 2 is now gone, but don't forget to multiply the 6 by 2 as well, which gives 12. Still haven't got the letter c on its own. We need to get rid of this negative 3, and to get rid of it we have to do plus 3 to both sides. Okay, so plus 3 to the left hand side and plus 3 to the right hand side. Okay, that will leave us with c equals 15. Okay, hope that helps with those. One last one I've got ready here for you is this one. Now sometimes you get brackets in there as well. If you ever get brackets, expand the brackets. What that means is get rid of them, multiply them out. So this bracket at the moment has got a 3 on the outside of it. It's telling you to multiply everything inside these brackets by 3. That's what it's telling you to do. So it's 3 lots of x plus 2's. Okay, so you can do it in steps, 3 lots of x's and 3 lots of positive 2's. Write down the result of that. So 3 times x is going to be 3x. 3 multiplied by positive 2 is going to be 6. And we've got the 14 on the right hand side. And now it looks like the equations that we saw earlier, such as the one we've seen here with 3x minus 8 and the one in the top right there, where we had 2x plus 10 equals 16. So just by making that one move, expanding the brackets, we are actually looking at an equation which looks pretty straightforward now. What do we need to do here? We need to get rid of this plus 6, and in order to get rid of that plus 6 we need to do the opposite calculation again, because the aim is still to get the letter on its own. To get the letter on its own you have to undo everything that is happening. So subtract 6 from both sides leaves you with 3x equals, I think I've made a mistake here. I should really have written here 24 just to make it work for this example. Okay, that should work nicely now. Once we've expanded the brackets, on the left hand side you've got 3x plus 6 and we have 24 on the right hand side. We need to get rid of the plus 6 by subtracting 6. So 24 take away 6 gives 18. So if 3x is worth 18, find out what 1x is worth. And the way you can do that is to divide both sides by 3. Okay, and that will leave you with x equals 6. Okay, now it's a good idea for you to go back through again to help you. Start with a question, pause the video, have a go at it yourself. Have a go at it yourself. Thank you very much for joining me once again. If there are any questions or any other topic that you would like me to go through, please just pop a quick comment below. On that, enjoy, and don't forget to learn maths. You have to do the maths. Thank you. Bye for now.